They brought this moron out of The Hague. He's a mean guy. He's a mean, nasty guy. His picture was perfect because you look at his picture, you say, that's a bad guy with his robe, his purple robe. And he executes people. He shouldn't be allowed to execute people because he'll execute everybody. He's a nut job. But we want all of those cases with him.
Judge Aileen Cannon blocked special counsel Jack Smith from releasing his report on his election case against Trump. I want to bring in now Justice correspondent David Spunt to catch us up on the facts of all of this. So we got the kind of the one-line report on this. Fill it in for us, David.
Well, Harris, it's a 3-page order from federal judge Aileen Cannon down in Florida. Ironically, it came on the docket a few minutes after President-elect Trump was praising Judge Cannon and saying that she had the courage to handle the case the way she did. But the bottom line is this regarding this breaking news. Special counsel Jack Smith, who's going to be out of a job in just a few days because the Justice Department cannot prosecute a sitting president, will release, or at least plans to release, 2 volumes of a report. The first is the election interference case that he brought against then former president, now President-elect Trump. The other is the classified documents case. Smith failed at both of those for different reasons, so neither of those went to trial. Now Jack Smith wants to have his parting word with a report. It's not unusual for special counsels to put out reports. This is a bit unusual in this case because the subject of both reports, Harris and everyone there on the couch, is the president that's going to be taking the oath of office in less than 2 weeks. So Judge Cannon told the Justice Department to hold off from releasing the report until the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals makes some sort of decision. What's not clear, and I want to be clear, is if that means both volumes of the report. And speaking to sources, I'm told that DOJ is holding off right now on releasing any parts of the report because they don't know exactly what this order means.
All right, guys. So once again, we got to talk about based Judge Aileen Cannon being a thorn in the side to Jack Smith, the Democrats, and the mainstream liberal media, okay? And they are furious about her latest actions to block the release of Jack Smith's report pertaining to the classified documents case and January 6th. Now, here's the thing. Nobody gives a damn about these reports, right? Trump is already going to be president. Doesn't matter. But Jack Smith wants to release these reports, his side of the story in regards to why he thinks that Trump is guilty of these things in order for the mainstream liberal media and for the Democrats to use against Trump, right? That is the main reason why they want these reports to come out, especially before inauguration, because once Trump gets into office, he can just block these reports from coming out, right? And Judge Aileen Cannon, who had dismissed the classified documents case against Trump, basically arguing that Jack Smith and his special counsel was unconstitutionally appointed, as in he essentially does not have the authority to be going after the president. She has blocked the release of these reports. And one of the reasons why is because with the classified documents case, Trump has co-defendants who are still going through the legal proceedings. And the reason why is because they're not president. Okay, Trump being president essentially makes the case go away against him. However, his co-defendants, that's not the case.
What is Judge Cannon's argument here, Caitlin?
Well, Judge Cannon is not actually doing much other than saying nobody's sharing this report for at least 3 days outside of the Justice Department. So we were awaiting the release of Jack Smith's final report, the summation of all of his work, his charging decisions in both the classified documents case before Judge Cannon and the January 6th case, which is against Trump in Washington, D.C., or was. It's been dismissed now. The Justice Department said they could release it publicly as early as Friday at the Attorney General's decision if he wants to do that. And so Trump's team, the co-defendants in the classified documents case, he has 2 of them who work for him, also accused of obstruction of justice. They also are facing the dismissal of this case, but ongoing appeals. They are going to court and saying, we don't want any of this to become public because it could hurt us. And so Judge Cannon said, yeah, let's look at the appeals court here. You've asked them as well to block the release of this. I'm going to say now, today, no one who gets this report in the Department of Justice, who has it with Special Counsel Smith's office, their officers, agents, employees. No one can share it outside of the Justice Department. And once the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals makes the decision here on what to do, if they too want to block the release of it, there's going to be a 3-day window where nothing can be done. And so we're in this moment where things are running out of time. Here's what Trump said at the press conference when he was told that this had happened while he was speaking, that Judge Cannon put in this order.
They're not allowed to issue the report. So if they're not allowed to issue the report, that's the way it should be. Because he was thrown off the case in disgrace. Why should he be allowed to write a fake report? It'll only be a fake report. That's great news. Good.
He mentioned Smith's role here. That's a main argument of what his team and his co-defendants are arguing, that Jack Smith just doesn't have the power to be the special prosecutor here, and thus also shouldn't be able to release a report like this.
Yeah, and that argument makes sense to me. Okay, if Jack Smith is unconstitutionally appointed, he doesn't have the jurisdiction or the power to be presiding over the case, and a judge has already ruled that to be the case here, that he doesn't have the power to actually be doing this, then why should he be allowed to release this report? Okay, I think that Judge Aileen Cannon's reasoning here is perfectly sound, right? I think it makes sense to me. But hey, the legal minds in the liberal media and the propagandists, they're upset, right? They're boohoo, whining, crying, they're fuming over this decision by Judge Aileen Cannon. Take a look.
The thing is pretty clear. Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon continues to distinguish herself as somebody who has no business being on the federal bench. She seems to ignore or violate the rule of law, the rules of procedure, and she does it consistently, invariably, to the extreme benefit of Donald Trump, the very president who appointed her to her cushy lifetime position. She has no business continuing to be a federal judge with life tenure. And let's hope all of these abuses of discretion come home to roost and she's held accountable for what she's been doing. Because justice matters.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay. Nothing makes me happier than seeing these Democrat Party propagandists, especially the lawyers, boohoo, whine, and cry, right? Aileen Cannon has been a thorn in their side for the last year or so, and it has been glorious to watch. Okay. But hey, the liberal propagandists shouldn't be too upset because Merrick Garland, the DOJ, they're essentially determined to at least get the January 6th portion of this report put out to the public, okay? Because their argument is that Judge Aileen Cannon has no power as a federal judge to block the release of the January 6th report because she doesn't have jurisdiction over that case, okay? But when it comes to the classified documents case, well, it's not really much that the DOJ can do about that, at least until the appeals court weighs in on it. Take a look.
Department of Justice has just responded to Donald Trump's argument that he should not release, that the report on the 2 investigations into the president-elect should not be released. CNN's Caitlin Polans is here with us. Caitlin, a lot of fast-moving developments. What can you tell us about this?
Well, the Justice Department is telling the appeals court, the federal appeals court over Florida, stay out of it. They have a plan. This is the plan that they just outlined. They say the Attorney General now has that final report into the 2 criminal cases against Donald Trump that were brought by the Office of Special Counsel Jack Smith. The plan is that Volume 1 of that report, which is about the 2020 election case, they plan to release that both to Congress and the public because it's in the public interest. And then Volume 2 about the classified documents case against Trump, the Attorney General Merrick Garland doesn't want to release that publicly because there's ongoing appeals related to Trump's 2 co-defendants, whether that case could be revived against them and they could still face charges. They don't want to prejudice that. So the plan is that the Attorney General wants to make public what they believe these courts down in Florida have no ability to stop them on, the part about January 6th
Judge
and the
Cannon
2020
was not
election.
presiding over that case, that January 6th case.
But what she did yesterday was put a stop to releasing the report outside of the Justice Department in full, both volumes, with an additional 3 days once the appeals court makes a decision here. And the Attorney General, they made it quite clear that we've told you the plan, quote, that should be the end of the matter here. We do have to wait and see exactly what this appeals court does, because that order from Judge Cannon is still in place, and there's only 12 days until the end of the time when Merrick Garland is Attorney General before Donald Trump is the president, and will get to make calls like this on his own.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Okay. I personally think that the January 6th report will probably end up getting released. But the classified documents report, not so much. But again, they want to do it before inauguration. Okay. They want to try their best to get it out there. Okay. Their last hit job against Trump before he is inaugurated as president. They want to get it out there before Trump is able to stop it. Now, again, these reports are essentially Jack Smith's arguments for why Trump is guilty, right? That's all they are, right? The things that he found and why he thinks that Trump is guilty. And the liberal media and the Democrats will use it to smear Trump and to say, oh, well, he should have been convicted, blah, 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 blah. This is what Jack Smith said. And that's all this is, okay? I just find it to be hilarious how these people continue to lose their minds over Judge Aileen Cannon. So without further ado, let's continue to react to the mainstream liberal media losing their minds over Miss Aileen Cannon going out of her way to try to block these reports.
Up front now, Ty Cobb, the former Trump White House lawyer. So, Ty, Judge Aileen Cannon tonight, Trump's knight in shining armor.
Oh, yes. Yeah, she's very reliable on his behalf.
I mean, very reliable, and so much so that today, after this news came out that she was going to block the report, he had that press conference. And in addition to talking about Panama and Greenland, he talked about her. In fact, he talked about her repeatedly. Here he is.
We had a brilliant judge in Florida. She was a brilliant judge with great courage. Judge Cannon was brilliant and tough. She was very, very strong and very, very brilliant. Very strong and a very brilliant judge.
That's 5 times using the word brilliant. Why do you think, Ty, Cannon blocked the report?
Well, to the extent that she's brilliant, she's shining. And the only reason she's shining is she's his tool, and he polishes her religiously. He gets the results he needs from her. The 11th Circuit has already, as we know, over 2 years ago, had to admonish her extensively for the rules that and the remedies that she created out of whole cloth for him after the Mar-a-Lago search, and made it clear that she was way out of bounds and overruled her. I suspect they will do so again quickly. In fact, I think strategically, one of the mistakes here is that had they only gone to Judge Cannon, this would have probably delayed things a little longer than going simultaneously to Judge Cannon and the 11th Circuit. But as we know, the 11th Circuit has already asked the Justice Department to respond tomorrow morning, which suggests that they may be prepared to mitigate the stain that she is and the stain that she's created again for the judiciary quickly on this.
Yeah, so you see, they heard that. Regardless of what happens with these reports being released, it doesn't matter, right? Nobody gives a damn about these reports whatsoever. It's just hilarious to watch these people boohoo, whine, and cry about Judge Aileen Cannon after telling us for the last 2 years that, hey, you're not supposed to criticize the judge. You're not supposed to criticize the justice system, okay? You're not supposed to undermine it, right? When there were criticisms of Tanya Chutkan, they were boohoo, whine, and crying racism. Oh, you can't criticize a black woman. They're attacking a black woman, right? When there were criticisms of Judge Machan, oh, you're trying to undermine the justice system. You can't question the judge, right? You can't question whether or not the judge is biased. You have to just accept the outcome no matter what, accept what the judge says and what the judge orders. Now, all of a sudden, when it comes to Aileen Cannon, all that stuff goes out the window. You're talking about a so-called woman of color, okay? A Latina who immigrated to this country and became a judge, achieved the American dream. Now it's okay to just say whatever you want, right? It's fair game to say whatever you want just because you disagree with her. But here's the thing. Low-key, I'm hoping that Trump considers appointing her to the Supreme Court because Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, One of them, they're probably going to retire in the next 4 years. And if Trump appoints her to the Supreme Court, these people are going to have an aneurysm, right? They're going to lose their minds. The meltdown would be hilarious, historic, right? An all-time meltdown if Trump appoints Miss Aileen Cannon to the Supreme Court. Low key, I hope that he does, right? Low key, it would just be worth it, just considering the fact that the media will lose their minds. They would lose their minds. And then people like me would say, hold on now. All this criticism of Miss Aileen Cannon saying she's not qualified and all this other stuff, yeah, that's racism, right? That's sexism. That's hate and bigotry. You can't criticize a so-called woman of color being appointed to the Supreme Court, right? You remember the criticisms of Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson, right? When Republicans criticize her, they say, oh, it's racist, right? If Trump appoints Miss Aileen Cannon to the Supreme Court, and when these liberals lose their minds, yeah, I'm going to be saying that it sounds a whole lot like racism to me. It's sexism, okay? I'm just saying, I hope that Trump does it. I hope that he does it, because the mask off moment from the Democrats in the liberal media is going to be hilarious. It's going to be hilarious. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.